So, Control is better than Quantum Break. The first thing that struck me about Control was its presentation. Stylistically, it's a return to form for developer Remedy. The cutscenes are captivating and demand attention, an accolade earned in no small part to the sublime direction. It baffles me that there's not more videos or articles praising this game's visuals and use of colour. Not often enough are we treated to an experience that wants to tell its story through conventional narrative means, as well as experimental uses of visuals. It's a storytelling method we only really get in films. The buzzword cinematic is thrown around much too often in relation to video games, but Control really does earn that adjective. Visually, the game doesn't only impress on an artistic level, it's also one of the prettiest games I've played on a console. Like Quantum Break before it, Control is a tour de force of technical power. If you need a game to champion how far technology has come since the 80s, this is the game. And I've only experienced the console version. From what I've seen of the PC versions, they're in a whole other dimension of their own in terms of prettiness. But none of that matters if the story and gameplay don't hold up to the lofty expectations set by the tech. So what can you expect from the story? A myriad of questions and an insane amount of pretentious dreamlike sequences make up the majority of Control's narrative. Considering it's from the Alan Wake developers, that's no surprise. Throwing you right into what seems like the third act of an ongoing TV series, Control has protagonist Jesse playing catch-up with the hostile takeover currently occurring in the Oldest House, a mystical building with unexplained abilities that can push the plot forward when it needs to. If needing to piece together the basic overall plot wasn't enough mystery for you, we're also often reminded that Jesse has some kind of mental link to an unknown character. That mystery is a little less intriguing because it's obvious what it is. Although to be fair, I'm not entirely sure the writer was ever fully trying to keep her secret. I imagine the primary purpose was to allow the player to fully understand what Jessie's thinking, get into her head without needing her to explain her entire thought process out loud, like so many other video game protagonists feel the need to. That can make the character interactions seem a tad bit off, as she just stands there staring at somebody while having a long mental conversation about how she feels about them. It's perhaps overindulged on occasion, but it never really ruins anything outright. Along with Jessie, there's a colourful cast of helper characters that'll give you quests and pointers. The insanely impressive facial animations and attention to every physical detail goes a long way in helping the side characters feel significant. They're all morally complex, and often you're made to wonder what their true motives are, but as characters go, it's hard to care about any of them. They never really get a strong chance to make themselves memorable. The story lets them down. And all the voice actors do a stupendous job at elevating their characters beyond the few basic traits they each possess. The closest I can do to find a negative in this area is with the janitor character, and that's only because I struggle to understand him.
And we all disappeared like a fart in Sahara.
When all is said and done though, the only character that left any impact was Jessie, which probably has more to do with the lack of female protagonists in gaming than anything the character does throughout the runtime. The runtime is something I can praise though. Even if you choose to ignore the side quests, there's still over 10 hours of tightly paced, story-driven gameplay here. A chunk of that gameplay is spent running back and forth through previously explored areas. Control takes inspiration from other Metroidvania titles, in the sense that as you further your progression in the main story, you'll unlock new powers or items that let you enter previously unreachable areas. That could either be to continue the main quest or search for unlockables and upgrades, more often than not being there to pad out the runtime for the sake of boasting more content. And there is quite a bit of that in Control. Not long in, you're given access to a handful of floors through a lift, and as you might have guessed, some of those floors are only partially accessible, and you'll be wasting your time going there before the game decides that you should. I do accept it story-wise, as due to the ever-changing nature of the Oldest House, it makes sense that certain areas would have changed upon returning, but it's not enough to stop it being a pain when you realise you've gone to a place too early and now you have to go all the way back. And the reasoning that Jesse gives for not wanting to enter certain places too early is beyond cheap.
Yes, it's overpowering here. You don't want me anywhere near it.
It would help if the map was of any use at all. When it isn't failing to fully load in, it's next to useless, only showing you the general-ish direction to your next objective. Once again, in terms of themes and story, this makes sense as a design decision. Quite often, I'd find myself feeling lost in the endless maze-like corridors, which did a lot in making the oldest house seem like an imposing figure in and of itself. From a player accessibility standpoint though, it's a frustrating ball ache. Whether you think that's good or bad is up to you. I don't like it though. All that's really left to talk about now is the actual gameplay. So far I've been pretty back and forth as to whether Control is a hit or a miss. In the gameplay department, while I do have a few gripes, it's definitely a hit. It's not anything complex. You've got a pistol that needs to recharge after so many shots, and psychic powers that use up an energy bar. Unlike Remedy's last attempt at blending shooting and superpowers together, Control nails the balance between the two. All the powers are useful additions to your arsenal, and solely using the pistol is never an effective tactic on its own. Everything is extremely fun to play and experiment with. When a new enemy type showed up that required me to use a specific power to beat them, it never felt like a chore to swap playstyle. Even if you aren't invested in the story, the fighting alone makes Control a blast to play. I get Batman Arkham vibes in the sense that you're made to feel powerful, but not invincible. Even the story and map design feel like Arkham Asylum, with the core characters being stuck in a maze-like complex and hunted by countless psychopaths. And as a comparison from me, that is very high praise. I do have a handful of other issues though. I'm really not a fan of obstacle courses being used as tutorials for new abilities. Just tell me how it works and let me figure it out playing the actual game, please. Sticking with power problems, the game wants you to use the telekinesis power to pick up objects and fling them somewhere else. Problem being that the game, more often than not, fails to understand what you're trying to do and picks up another completely different nearby object instead. Not the biggest issue, but it crept up a lot during my playthrough. At the risk of treading too far into the negative, I'll reiterate that the consideration for detail the developers took when crafting the environments is second to none. Pieces of wall crumble when shot, papers fly into the air when hit with a blast of energy, and the set design constantly reminds you that people used to work here. And the cherry on top is the simple, yet always engaging way the puzzles are solved with clues in the environment. Like a lot else in this game, it's incredibly well done. Dampening the fun but not outright ruining it are a handful of technical issues, some longish loading times, and a few dull but ignorable side quests. None of which come close to marring the excellent experience Remedy has created in Control. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but even I can't deny the love, care, and the pure effort that's gone into this game. I think you should definitely play it. Also, photo modes with actual effort put into them are the shit. Hey guys, just to let you know, if you like this video, you could gain the power of telekinesis. And if you comment any suggestions for future videos, you might even get the ability to create powerful barriers that'll protect you from everything that's tried to kill us this year. Most importantly though, if you subscribe, you'll be gifted with the greatest power of all, our love and affection. Cheers.